Mic check one, mic check one.
Mic check two, mic check two.
Mic check three, mic check three.
Yeah, that sounds awesome.
Sunday, and Saturday. Lawnmower Expo.
You'll pay for the whole seat, but you'll only need the edge.
Yes.
Of the lawnmower seat? Are we driving the lawnmowers? I'm confused.
There's a King of the Hill episode where they go to a lawnmower expo, and that's the ad. Sunday, and Saturday. Dale rides a virtual lawnmower and reaches his digital hand down into the blades and comes up fingerless and nah.
Well, that doesn't sound like proper lawnmower maintenance.
Exactly.
And welcome to Netflix and Kill. Oh my goodness, I'm afraid today, Travis.
Are you?
Yep. You know I don't like the demons movies.
No.
You know I don't like the demon possessions and shit. I also don't like songs, so I'm a very musically disinclined individual. So this is a very scary and
Poor choice for you, huh?
Yeah, not a great choice. But who's talking about this weird song choice of a playlist? Why, it's me, Nick, the Merc with a mic, and my fellow apologist,
Travis,
and of course our special guest, who is a longtime collaborator with the UGO podcast for at least a year. But it's Les Weiler, everybody. Say hi, Les.
Hey, Les.
So yes, I am super excited to be recording with Les again. If those of you don't know, Les is a TV dude that does the recordings with the TV Dudes podcast, talks about a lot of TV and stuff. He also does his own thing with the Good Die Young podcast, where he talks about TV shows that were just too pretty to live. They died early in their first season, and he's talking about the middleman in his first season here. And I'm not sure about all his guests, though. I mean, this latest one sounded pretty handsome. I got to admit, I did like his latest guest here.
Yes, in case those playing at home haven't figured it out, as of today, when we're recording this, Nick's second episode to co-host dropped. Episode 9 is up with Nick co-hosting. Yeah, man, I really enjoyed re-editing these things. Is weird, and I really enjoyed re-listening to ours.
Hey, anytime you need to talk about frozen sorbo, you know to come call me. That's
a nice frozen sorbo.
All I can say, it's a little late, but I apologize for that. Just having him on,
Never.
I apologize.
Never. You are kicked out.
Okay.
All right. But yes, we are actually coming to almost a close on the middleman. Actually, that's what was it, episode 9? We're on the end run here.
Yeah, so we're gonna have 12 episodes. The TV show got 12 episodes, and then I'm actually going to do an episode for the comics, the parallel comics universe that's actually in print, and then one episode per table read, the Comic-Con table reads, and I'm going to treat them like the TV episodes. So there'll be
awesome.
Full breakdowns of those.
God, I'm so excited. All right, but with that, we are here to not talk about the middleman, as fun as that might be.
Oh God, yeah.
Actually, here to talk about
talking about the middleman for a minute.
Actually, we're here to talk about a dark song.
Well,
what?
my child died. I need to speak to him.
Once I complete this circle, no one can leave till the invocation's done. This is your last chance to back out.
Seal it.
You do know what we're taking on.
I was told it was based on the Kabbalah.
We're doing something much darker. Drink it.
When are we going to know that it started?
You'll see it soon enough.
Why isn't it working?
I promise you, I will let you talk to your child.
Mommy, open the door.
Have you told me everything?
I've told you the truth. And tell me, where is God?
No, God.
this was Les's pick for Netflix and Kill this week. Les, would you like to tell the people a little bit about what A Dark Song is about?
Yeah. Well, this is one of those movies that I really would like people to go in as blind as possible. It has an ending that I was just not prepared for.
So go away, all of you.
But so without giving away, what it's about, all I knew about it walking in was that this was a very simple movie with just a close, small, stay in one location, couple of actors, where a woman is wanting to do some kind of really complex spell, like ritual, and she basically hires a guy to help her do it. And so they don't really know each other. It's a transactional thing, but they're doing this huge ritual, and that it goes wrong, which is not exactly what happens. But yeah, that's more or less what I got. This thing aired at or screened at Fantastic Fest a couple of years ago, and I was telling Nick earlier, I forget sometimes, I know enough people that go to that particular festival that I forget sometimes that those films half the time don't have distributorship and weren't really in the theater anywhere. So I'll reference movies that no one could have seen because they were only at a couple of festivals until they drop on Netflix, and Netflix drops so much stuff at a time that the friends of mine that adored this movie at Fantastic Fest, most of them were unaware that it had appeared on Netflix. And so when I noticed it, it was one of those I've been meaning to see this because 20 people I know geeked out about it. And it's this beautiful, every frame a painting kind of movie that, it looks as gorgeous to me as Mother or something did. And the story is just beautifully simple. This woman has a grievance and she wants it addressed. It deals with Gnosticism, which is I won't say offshoot of Christianity, but it is an alternate take on Christianity that I've always found interesting. I remember when I was in high school, I date myself here, but the prophecy movie, the first prophecy movie with Christopher Walken as Gabriel came out. I think a young Viggo Mortensen was Lucifer, but not a great movie. But I remember it being one of the first things I'd ever seen that dealt with Christianity as a mythology, even though, half the time, movies will discuss Norse mythology, you'll see, we'll discuss Greek mythology or Norse mythology, but this was before Supernatural was on the air. It was still ooh, when people started discussing, the arcane mysticism of Christianity in a fictional place, audiences kind of still bristled of no, but that one's real.
Right.
And so this movie kind of harkened back to that for me. We'll talk about it in a minute, but they do a specific ritual I did not know before the movie, but if you were to pause it and look up Abramelin, you would kind of know what they're about to do. And I just thought that was cool. I love the look of everything, the explanation of everything, how beautiful each frame is. There's a lot of really simple storytelling, tiny things each character does that gives away their mental state. Anyway, I loved it. It's finally on Netflix, and I had the opportunity to make 2 other humans watch it.
I do like that too. I do love the mention of Christianity mythology as well. I'm waiting for the trade paperback, but they collect all the special events and stuff. Well, they retconned it and brought Jesus back, right?
Yeah.
That's where I lost interest. If we're not having stakes in this story, I don't know. But yeah, this film is from the director Liam Gavin. This is actually his first feature-length film. It looks like he's done some other shorts before. Let's see. And, of course, it really only has... there's a couple other actors in this movie in the beginning part of it, but it really comes down to 2 people in a house, and those 2 people are played by Steve Oram as the occultist and Catherine Walker as the aggrieved mother.
As an alternate title of this movie, I've been calling it How to Lose a Guy in 30 Weeks.
30 weeks? Man, that sounds a lot more boring Matthew McConaughey movie that's I don't want to watch. But I was very interested in this film because it looks very gorgeous from the beginning. I mean, they're using the Irish countryside to the best effect in the beginning part of this movie, so that it feels very out in the open and very
isolated.
Well, that one it feels like an ocean of just space, and then suddenly the rest of the film is basically taking place in this one house. While it might be a huge house, while it might be a huge house, it's still very like one type location and stuff. And the mother here, I forget the names of these people. Let's see, Sophia asked Joseph to do this occult ritual. And Joseph is very upfront about, like, hey, we get this, of course, the scene of where the guy tells you, hey, what do you think an occult ritual is? Well, all that's bullshit. Like, none of that's real. This is how it really is.
Yeah, I like his explanation of, like, you may have read online people explaining what, that you're going through a hallucination after fasting, and like people trying to rationalize it but keep the magic of like, no, this is just an altered state of consciousness, and you're like, no, there are real things in the universe, and these are levers, and we're pulling them. And I kind of like, I mean, he's got a lapsed priest. He's not a lapsed priest, but he's got kind of a lapsed priest vibe about him of like, well, you find out in a very shortly that like he doesn't just drink, he's detoxing for not drinking for like 2 days.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I always do like that scene whenever the expert or whatever tells the person of like it's never how you think it is.
Yeah,
there's never a scene in a genre film where it's like, hey, you know what? You saw that movie that one time that explained it? Yeah, that was basically how it was.
Especially since this is something you can Google. Like I'm currently Googling this ritual. Like it's here on my phone.
Mm-hmm.
I just want one time for the occult ritualist to go like, oh, you know what? It's actually pretty simple. It's actually it's not too far off from what you guessed. Or alternatively, no, that's not quite right. But let me politely show you how it is. No, it's always fuck you. You're completely wrong about everything. Stupid.
Or well, it can't be. Oh wait, you got it right. Never mind. Continue.
It was. I call it the Blade paradox of like forget everything you know about vampires except for that like Silver kills them. Right? Like yeah, well that. And then, like, some of it's right. Yeah, you know what? Shut up.
I always liked in Supernatural, I think there's one where the Winchester brothers are, like, trying to get everybody to, like, put salt by the door. Like, nobody will believe them. Like, like salt in a shotgun. That's the lamest thing I've ever heard. When we make the movie of this, we'll put something badass in it. Like, but that works, though. Like, yeah, like, but no, it's effective.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but it's not sexy. And of course, let's see, Sophia, her original goal, like she at first tries to convince Joseph that, like, okay, why do you want to do this long ritual? Like it takes about like, what was it, 6 months just to prep for the fucking thing? Like, and then it's no guarantee if it actually like works the first time.
She's already been fasting and shit for like almost a month prior to meeting him.
Yeah. Just in case he would say yes.
Yeah. Like I think at the beginning she's only like eating from like dawn till dusk. That's the only time she eats, and soon she won't be doing that at all or something.
Yeah, then she's gonna go like 3 days without like a full fast. I mean, like it's at first she's just doing something similar to like Ramadan or other religious fastings.
Things that humans would do.
Yeah, and then this starts like when you start to put together the timeline of this ritual she's about to do. I was really amazed when I looked it up, and found that nope, this is, depending on the translation, this is a 6 to 18 month ritual, which leads into something I really loved about. We'll get to when he fully agrees, but anyway.
Yeah, I was very confused as to what her original, like, she doesn't want to reveal her original intent at first. In the beginning part of it, because at first she says, I was in love with someone, now they're not in love with me. And like, that was the reason she wanted to do the ritual. I'm like, I don't even understand that.
Yeah. That sounds basically like somebody broke up with her and she wants them to love her again.
Yeah, and it's like, wow, what a shallow, stupid fucking reason to do this huge occult ritual.
Yeah.
And even he goes, yeah, that's a dumb fucking reason. I'm not doing this.
Yeah.
This shit's dangerous.
I love that he's willing to pass up his chance because he gets a wish too, basically in this ritual. Like they're doing a ritual that's gonna grant them a wish, but you find out like he's gonna get a wish too. So it's really fun to realize like, oh wow, you're willing to pass this. Like that's not worth it to you, even for this reward for yourself. Like that's how stupid.
He implies pretty early on that there are stakes to this ritual, so I don't actually blame him for being like, nah, your thing is stupid and could get me killed, so fuck that.
Yeah, apparently intent is also important in the ritual,
Yes.
is what it keeps being brought up.
Yeah, she has to be on. Well, they don't say this in the movie, but I think on the Wikipedia they mentioned that you're supposed to be honest in your business dealings or in your interpersonal dealings, or on the up and up. I'm sure that's where they took that for the script of her not being able to lie about anything, because he nicks himself whittling at one point when they're prepping for the ritual. He's going through and asking her languages, and she says she's fluent in German, and he nicks himself in the hand, and like by accident. And he says, it's a wonderful foreshadowing, like, that's because you lied. And she doesn't believe him, but like, this is definitely a movie that trades on very tiny details, poking at the supernatural going on.
Yeah, I do. I mean, I do like that her next thing she reveals after that is that, oh, my son died and I want to speak to him again. I need to hear his voice again. And the guy's like, well, that's way more compelling of a backstory. Like,
let's do that one.
Now it's almost like Joseph himself is like, now we have a movie. Come on.
Yeah, and it's still you realize later like it hews to that old trope of being technically true. She did lose her son, but that's still, you find out that later that's still not the full truth.
Right.
She's a cagey person. Like
at that point, just alive a mission.
Yes. And it kind of lets her skirt it for a little while. But I like that in stories where, you know, you're watching something interesting because you're watching broken people try to do something. But because you're watching broken people try to do something, they're carrying bad decision baggage with them of like, yeah, you know, this would probably all have gone a lot smoother if you had just been he wouldn't have given a shit if you'd been really upfront.
Right.
Yeah.
Because again, he's getting a wish out of this.
Exactly.
Yeah. Like Joseph turns out to be kind of like a really complex, like kind of asshole of a character, but sometimes you can't help but be on his side about some stuff where it's like, I was very upfront about this in the beginning.
Yes.
I believe I stated myself very, very clearly on what I said the rules were here.
And I don't know if she just doesn't believe him or just doesn't care.
Well, I think at certain points...
Good.
Go ahead, Les.
I think she's partly in the position of the audience for a lot of it, where as the movie's progressing, at the start of it, you don't know if this movie's going to be... I mean, is this going to be a movie that's really supernatural, or is it going to turn out to be, you know, it doesn't work, but something other, you know, awful happens? Like, you know, you never know. Like, is the twist going to be that magic's real or magic's not real? And so I kind of feel like she doesn't fully believe the stakes for a while. And I wondered too, like, they seal the house. And he says they can't leave. And at one point she starts to open the door and he freaks the fuck out. And I still was wondering, like, you are also just a weird asshole who's going to get a wish out of this. So what's real? How much of this is real? You know?
He does state too that if they leave there, they're stuck there forever.
He says, like, yeah, after a certain point, it's like he of course does the supernatural thing of surrounding the house in salt.
Yeah.
And which apparently stays there for months on end.
They were in Ireland. Fuck that.
Well, no, when she goes back outside later and eventually messes with or crosses it, it's almost gone. Like there's huge patches missing.
Because they're in Ireland. It rains all the time.
Yeah. But yeah, he stops very, like, from pouring his line, like, okay, I'm about to seal the house after he fully agrees. Yeah. I love his when she first tells him that she wants to do it for love, and he's like, that's like getting Titian to decorate a birthday cake. Like, I mean, that's insane. Like, you know, that's so much more hammer than you need for this nail. Because yeah, this ritual has stakes. there was a part of me that really, I spent half the movie the first time I watched it really not thinking any of it was going to be real. Like that I was going to find out that it was just him
fucking with her.
Yeah. And then there's some point where it legit crosses a line of like, nope, that's not real. Like that's magic or supernatural.
Something.
I don't know, what was that point for you? For me, it was the point where something knocks back. Like that was kind of, for me, I was just like, uh-oh, that's probably because this ritual is very complex. Now, here's something I should state before we get too far into this ritual thing. This is gonna be a weird thing to say, but I love rules. I love rules. I love finding out new rules of new worlds and movies and stuff. Whenever I set up a sci-fi, fantasy, horror ritual or whatever, I love to know what the rules are and how, like, possible ways to work around them, and like what exactly the rules to magic and all that sort of good jazz. So this beginning part of the film is actually very intriguing to me, where it's this ritual is a very, very complex process with multiple rooms that they have to clear one by one, with different types of rituals, with different elements and different intents. And it's all to not even just it's not even like sending an email request. It's more like turning on your ham radio and seeing what's out there, like, and just kind of broadcasting and seeing what gets picked up.
No, that's actually a really good explanation of it. I'm even looking here on this, according to this website, the total process should take 18 months.
Yeah.
Damn.
So my whole 30 weeks joke is actually a little under.
So it's very interesting to me to see this beginning part of the movie, how it's all set up. I mean, I really like the way that the two characters are really, invested in this ritual for different reasons. It seems very apparent right up front, even though we never really get to figure out what Joseph really wanted other than knowledge and power. And I do like that the actual explanation here for the ritual is that the ritual is meant to obtain the knowledge and conversation of the ritualist's guardian angel, which, I mean, it does sound a little silly when you say it out loud, like guardian angel, really?
Yeah. Now, the movie turns that into a more straightforward, you get to ask for something. Which I think what Joseph says he's going to ask for, I really like there's only a handful of conversations in the movie. Most of it is silent or kind of a Philip Glass score, while she goes through various long ritual processes that have this increasingly intricate network of symbols around her. I loved all that. But when they have the conversation where she's asking how he got into this and what all he's seen, I really loved the really short amount of dialogue he has about it. Really got to the heart of him for me really quick, where he says that, I've seen gods, I've seen demons, God has showered me with silver. And she asks if any of it scared him, and he'd like, no, all of it scared me. But he also reveals that he knows he's damned. And it's a throwaway thing, but it occurred to me like, oh wow, yeah, Constantine style, like, I could see you having seen some stuff of like, oh man, I know for a fact where I'm going. And knowing that, like, clearly absolving that is not something that he can ask for. But what he wants instead is basically invisibility for, like, whatever he's ticked off, whatever he's done, whoever's looking for him for the rest of his natural life on Earth, he just wants to be able to go freely and not be found. Because there's a limited amount of time until the howl, I think is the way he refers to it.
When he first said that, I thought at first like he meant like literal invisibility. I'm like, what, do you can go peek in the girl's shower? But no, it is
like,
more.
It's not what you think. I just want to not be found. It's like, all right, that's interesting.
Yeah, I thought he was even more like not to be found by demons and stuff as well, like anything that might have found him on the plane as well. But I think it was more like just being completely and utterly alone. So that was interesting. I find Joseph to be a very interesting, like, sometimes even antagonist of a character. But he is the one that's trying to get this like ritual off the ground, and Sophia is very cross with him every time it seems like the ritual is ground to a halt. Like, I don't understand why it's not working. And then I get really mad also with Joseph when after all this bitching she's been doing, he figures out that she has also again been lying.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, God damn it!
Yeah.
Like we've been doing all this shit for months, and you're the reason that it's not working, and you're the one that's mad at me.
So
God damn it!
Fuck you.
Well, and when you realize later in the movie that the line is real, as you're realizing that this shit's real, and it starts to dawn on you that like, oh wow, then sealing the house and breaking the house away from the world, and this is all going to be real. If the thing earlier was real, then this is probably real too. His level of anger over like, so because you lied, there's a chance we can't complete this invocation.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And if we can't complete it, then we fucking die here. Like, it starts to occur that like her lie, that like starting this and being incapable of finishing it probably doesn't matter. It probably counts as fail, and or never finishing it, and you just starve to death there.
Yeah, it is pretty weird the way she, no matter how many times she is told like how specific the ritual is, how they're like how very picky it seems like that the other side seems to be when it comes to collect calling and whatnot.
Well, yeah, you're literally asking for a messenger of God.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
but she still's like, well,
Just leave a message, right? It'll be fine. Voicemail, they'll call back. It's fine.
Well, and it to me it kind of rang true on how secrets and shame and guilt work, because she lost her child, but they don't fully go into what happened, but she feels it's her fault. So I'm assuming she was looking away or something, or left her kid for a minute. And she wants vengeance, and she wants vengeance perversely against the people who were trying to do dipshit versions of what she's doing. Basically, like she says something about her kid, like it was some idiots trying to do a ritual, and like so she didn't really want to tell him because it's not just vengeance; it's basically like vengeance against guys like him.
yeah.
Idiot versions are based on this, but like Joseph's not a good person, really by any stretch.
I mean, a couple other people already said no to her when like Joseph wasn't the first guy she contacted about this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, who else? She rattles off like 4 or 5 names, and he nods. Yeah.
And like, yeah, the normal circle's like, yeah, I know those guys.
Because I feel like it would be a rarefied. There'd only be a couple of other people you could possibly be talking to and be serious. And I would imagine it's a minor test for him of like, are you serious about this?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, well, if you've met so-and-so and you found out so-and-so's name, then you've looked at this a little while. But he still ridicules her of like, oh, you think it's based on Kabbalah? That's adorable. Like, yeah, but this is not what Madonna's into.
Yeah, but as far as the creepy stuff itself, when like creepy shit does start to happen, I feel like this movie really starts to shine during some of the more trippier elements of it. I like the time loop. It seems like every once in a while, like when they have to drink the blood sacrifice and suddenly it resets back to the beginning and like drink it. Like I just did that, and it's like starting to mess with her mind. Anytime that she actually talks with her son in the other side or whatnot, and she straight up knows from the get go, like, oh, you're not my son,
right? Yeah,
you're some fucking demon thing.
Yeah, I'm calling my guardian
voice.
angel. Yeah. I'm calling my guardian angel, and she's been told other shit's gonna hear us while we're yelling. Like you said, the ham radio thing. Like you're calling out for one person, but other shit can pick you up.
Mm-hmm.
I love that she knows from the get. Yeah, I've really enjoyed that she doesn't fall for it, but yet. And the pain of missing her kid is too great to not take a perverse advantage of it for a minute.
Yeah, although it's kind of weird because that's the one stupid mistake she doesn't make.
Yeah.
Right?
That's the one that she was very explicit saying like, hey, it's not going to be your kid. You're going to hear shit. She has to hear her kid being attacked by like a dog or something because they keep hearing this dog as well, which I think is like some sort of this keeper of the underworld type, animal.
Cerberus.
And on her walk right before he tells her to go for a walk before they seal the house because it's going to be a while. And on her walk, she sees a dead dog covered in maggots.
That's right. That was gross.
And then it's just weird that then, later there's a dog barking, and I as a first sign, I thought it was kind of cool, like the dog barking kind of being the first thing that happens, and he picks up on it real quick, like, oh no, it's happening, and she's like, yeah, a dog? Like, yeah, well, we're in the middle of fucking nowhere. But then, yeah, I think there's like bird strike on the window and some other creepy stuff, but yeah, it's when her kid not just talks to her, but when it breaks and reveals, like, that it's just enjoying fucking with her more than anything. like when it loses it and like, open the fucking door, like that level of vehemence, I started to really enjoy it. I was afraid this movie was gonna like just do thumps on the walls for 2 hours.
I'm not your son. I'm just some dead fucking cunt that's using your son's voice. Like, that was a pretty chilling moment.
Yeah.
To realize there. And I was like, oh, fuck me. So I realize we've talked about like a lot of the stuff we really think works about this film. But unfortunately I have a certain couple things that don't work for me. And the one thing I think is that, well, first of all, I think that this film is good. It's pretty all right, and I think I have a problem with it the same I've had with the last couple Netflix and Kill movies, and I'm really having a hard time with this. Apparently, is that I keep thinking to myself like, oh, this movie is going to be one thing, and then it gives me another thing at the very end. I'm never satisfied with the thing it gives me. And this one was very particular because when it was setting up the rules in the beginning part of it, I was very much like, oh, okay, I totally get this. There's all these different rooms that have different intentions where she builds her steel, her resolve, and then another one where she one is where she's supposed to ask for forgiveness, and that's like the hardest one for her. I don't do forgiveness is what she says. So there's all these aspects to these rituals, and each of the rituals has like a different room that has like a seal on it, right?
Right.
And I was like, oh, okay, they're setting up later when the haunted shit starts to happen, and she has to run around the house. Like maybe she runs into each one of these rooms and a different type of demon is in there, or she has to do a different type of thing to complete the ritual, or maybe they have to like really use the specific ritual rules to kind of get around the monsters they eventually contact. She says she has this dream about this like woman that is holding her son's hand and leading him somewhere, and I'm like, ooh, what if that's a reference to like she's the old demon woman by the end of this somehow, or like it's more meaningful in some other way. And then so when the end of the movie comes and it kind of turns into a just regular, Insidious style run around the house and just avoid the monsters until the end, Deus Ex Machina, I'm kind of like, damn it. It's not even like that part of the movie's bad. It's actually pretty good. Like with the demons are very creepy and kind of just following her, and
they do a good job with lighting at that moment.
But it's so another one of those things where I'm like, damn it, I thought you were promised me something else that was very in depth and intricate with these set up rules, and really it ended up with our main character running around the house until she ran enough, I guess,
till daylight breaks, essentially.
Well, in this one, it's more like the metaphor of forgiveness is when she finally learns how to forgive not only others but herself, sort of deal. Like that's what most of this movie is about. So basically, once that happens, then it's like, oh, okay, then everything's cool about that. All right about that. I don't know. I was expecting something with how rule heavy it was in the beginning. I was expecting something a little more procedural near the end.
Something to come out of all that rule.
Yeah. I don't know. What'd you feel about the end, Les?
So the actual ending, I loved. Like the very end, like basically from her hitting the light and turning the corner, I was wholly unprepared for them to actually come
there?
through with the like. Sorry, are we spoiling
With the surprise.
Well, when did you make contact with our guardian angel? Yeah, she does actually make contact with it.
Yeah, and I was really unprepared for the movie to let it work, and was thrilled. I mean, just from a like, oh wow, that's the opposite choice that normally gets made. Like normally this is just won't work, and instead it does. And it's, I mean, since it's kind of expressly a Deus Ex Machina, it was fine for me that it was and I loved all of the movie up to, actually, probably my favorite thing in the movie is him dead after his stabbing, and all of that, and him getting sicker, and them keeping the ritual going, and all of that tension, and then he dies in bed, and she goes to the room because what the fuck else can you do but keep the ritual going? And he's done what is honestly the smart thing. If you are that man and you know you were sick, all of your personal notebooks are horrifically dangerous. Like, really fucking dangerous. Like, these are, the books that the kids read aloud in the cabin in the woods and start, like, zombie apocalypses with.
Let's read the Latin. Yay!
Yeah. So, like, going through and redacting everything when she opens his books, I thought was amazing. Like, that's so cool. And then it also occurred to me, and fuck you can't finish this fucking ritual now.
Yeah, it's some petty shit. But I did want to save some of that for a more in-depth spoiler talk at the end here. But,
sorry, cut all of that you need.
No, that's all right. I did want to mention that we do get to see the Guardian Angel sequence, which is like, if you're worried about this movie not paying off, it does pay off in that aspect, which is pretty cool. I did like the final shot too, with her dealing with that, and finally, like, the right before the credits is a really good shot.
There's a Anyway,
I mean, did you like the spook house aspect before that all that happens, or were you really sold by the Guardian Angel?
It was weird. They did it very well. It was like you said, like the lighting was great on it, and the monsters looked creepy as fuck. And reading the Wikipedia on that ritual now, one of the things you're supposed to do after it, I think, is seal off the 12 Kings of Hell or something. Like there's a darker part you were supposed to do after the Guardian Angel part, I think. And I didn't know this at the time of watching the movie, but like looking back on it now, like it would have, they could have gone into all of that. At the time of watching it though, it just felt jarring. Like they didn't know where to go and they wanted to get to the Guardian Angel payoff. And so they went through jump scare horror to get there.
Yeah, if I were to liken it to something, imagine you are studying for a quiz tomorrow in your class, and you're studying. You got your shit down. You got your study session on.
Crammed all night.
You crammed all night, and you are fucking good. You are ready to go. You got this in the bag. You're gonna nail this. Then suddenly you get a substitute teacher the next day, and the quiz is canceled, and you get to watch a movie in class instead. And you're like psyched because, hey, you get to watch a movie in class. That's cool and everything. But you're a little disappointed that you didn't get to use your knowledge and fucking nail that quiz like you thought you were gonna.
Mm-hmm.
And that would be the point of the jump scare part of this movie. That's where I feel like my disappointment comes from.
Yeah.
I was just like, damn it! I really thought we were gonna go a little more in depth and go some crazy shit. And really like proactively work step by step, work it through, just like the ritual, the prep was, attack the problem with like step by step procedure, just like the Joseph did in the beginning. But that Guardian Angel part where they actually double down on the you get your wish.
Mm-hmm.
That's a pretty cool. That's a pretty cool aspect too. But anyway, yeah, I think that's why I'm going to have to give this one 3 awkward jerk-off sequences out of 5.
Oh, yeah, that part.
Oh, God. Yeah, what a bastard.
Yeah, if you remember that part where even Joseph is just like, oh, well, I got to clear my head, so why don't you bend over naked and I'll jerk off.
That's not what he says, though.
No, he lies to her and tells her it's necessary for the ritual.
Yeah, later he says, like, well, I just had to clear my head. Like, well, then jerk off alone, you fucking creep. Like,
it was really awkward, too, because when I watched that scene, I'm like, no, he, like, when I first saw the scene where he's like, okay, this is really awkward, but he did state in the beginning about sex rituals, and then he says that part, I'm like, okay, no, you're just a fucking asshole.
What the
Fuck
hell?
off.
Because it comes right after him painting her back pillow book style for part of the ritual, and she takes her bra off, and he looks at her back for a second longer, and then the next scene is him deciding to do that. And
Gross.
like, nope, you're just a gross person. Like, this is the kind of, like, and she's a broken, mean person, and he's fucked up.
Yeah, what about you, Les? What would you give it overall?
Overall, I'd say probably 4 out of 5. It story-wise and that weird, because there is they left money on the table. Like there's rules and story set up that is sitting there that maybe I'm wrong. Maybe adding another 30 minutes that went more in depth into that other stuff and would have tied the other rooms in better and let her work through his redaction. Maybe that would have muddied the movie and made it less streamlined, but I wanted to see it, and it would have made it feel less disjointed. It probably would have got 3 stars, except that it's so fucking pretty. Almost every shot is just really well composed and just beautiful. The house really starts to become a character. There's a shot where he's dealing with her in the bathroom after doing,
after lying a few more times.
Yeah, lying a little bit more. And the shot is really, it's oddly but beautifully composed. Like they're in the bathroom in one doorway, but they're on the right half of the screen, and basically the camera's out in a hallway where you're seeing them through the bathroom door, and you're also seeing the staircase downstairs, and the positioning of them is this weird pietà of him holding her, and the stairway leads through the line of her body. Like it, just sitting back from it going, how fucking long did your DP take to set this shot up on what had to be it's Film Ireland and Film, I mean, like, I don't know what budget they made this movie for, but I know it wasn't, $90 jillion or anything. So yeah, I'd say I wish the story had been a little stronger at a couple of points, but I applaud trying to strike for direct simplicity on just doing a simple thing really, really beautifully. So I'd probably give it 4 out of 5.
Well, yeah, I mean, they could always go on with my idea, which was to possess the little toy that she keeps finding of her kid.
Yeah, that really never paid off, did it?
The Green Goblin toy. Like I'm like, oh yeah, get Willem Dafoe in here and have him possess the doll, the little toy, and that way when they don't finish the ritual, he can come in on a goblin glider and go finish it.
I think they could honestly, I think they could easily do a sequel to this. This doesn't seem like the kind of movie that would ever have a sequel, just on tone. But they could easily do a sequel with like, oh, you missed a piece of that ritual, or you didn't finish that ritual, or, hey, after your guardian angel experience, did you remember to do the other part?
Did you close the door?
Yeah.
Yeah. How rude. Didn't even finish the ritual. But yeah, Travis, what'd you feel about it?
I mean, I like the movie for pretty similar reasons. Like you guys were talking about, it is beautifully shot. They definitely let this like whole entire building kind of breathe, and you get to like see various parts of the house itself, which is really cool. I do kind of feel like it could have just been more, and I don't know if that was mostly budgetary reasons or if they just didn't know how to do it or what the deal is, but the fact that they spend so much time on these rituals and it's like, all right, now shit's going wrong. Let's clean this up. Let's wrap it up here. I'm like, oh, but this is the fun part of the movie. Like, it's very interesting watching these two characters interact. But once like it actually got to like, oh shit, Supernatural's real. Let's see how this goes. It kind of like speeds along. And this movie is like an hour and a half long. And it's only like the last 15 minutes that actually reveal that, yep, Supernatural's all real. Let's go for it. I feel like they did leave like a lot of loose lines. Like I totally forgot about a stupid fucking goblin figure because it just disappears after a while.
Yeah, like, I think it's just purely I think they just use it purely as an early signal that something's screwing with her.
Right.
Because it vanishes for a while and then reappears. I think.
Well, it's like that rule of 3 thing. Only shows up like twice.
Yeah, well, and it kind of only shows up like when she needs a little faith to keep doing it, like that it is still working. And so, yeah, I wasn't sure if that wasn't her guardian angel leaving that there, because I think one of the things he says is like, technically, we're going to do the ritual 5 times. Technically, each time we're completing the ritual, and calling your guardian angel, but it's going to get more solid. Like, it's like you're reinforcing it. And so, like, and these are all things I love about this movie, because I like an open-ended world. Like, it has enough rules that it makes me want to pick apart all the other rules. But it also is what prevents me from, like this movie could really knock it out of the park, for those same, like, reasons. Like, if they would nail down a couple of those things.
So what was your overall rating then?
I'm going to give it a 6 out of 10.
6 out of 10?
Yeah, like, it was fun to watch, a little lengthy considering that the payoff wasn't quite payoffy enough.
Payoffing. Well, that's a word. That's definitely.
I stand with it.
Man, that you sure have the vocabulary of a true critic, my friend.
Don't blame my vernacular.
Payoffy sounds like a villain in an 80s cartoon.
Payoffy.
I'll look at you next time. Payoffy out.
Damn you kids and your stupid dog. So that is our ratings then for A Dark Song. Very interesting conversation. If you guys want to stick around for the spoiler section,
for what we haven't already spoiled,
stick around for after the musical break. But before that, we just want to let you guys know that you can find our back catalog of Netflix and Kill reviews, as well as our regular episodes of the UGO podcast on our UGO podcast iTunes feed, as well as our just website of unapologeticgeekout.com. Now, if you want to help out the podcast, you can subscribe to us, or maybe give us a 5-star review on there. It would really help us out with visibility and all that good stuff. Or maybe follow us on our social medias at our, UGO Podcast on Facebook, or at UGO Podcast on Twitter. And our Instagram's the same thing. We're about to get into some other con stuff in the next month or so definitely keep an eye on that. Les, where can the people find you?
There's the tvdudes.com. There's also thegoodDieYoungTV.com. The Good Die Young TV being my project, and the TV Dudes I'm on probably every 3rd week.
All right, and yes, definitely good stuff. Both of those things. I'm very excited to finish off Middleman in particular. But with that, we're going to take a small musical break, and we'll be back right after this.
War is coming. War is crying out. The world is shaking. The sky is falling down. The sky is falling down. Into the darkness, we are one. Into the darkness, we almost run.
So Les, before we get back into this, I did want to bring up something that we were talking about a little bit on Facebook before. I really, really enjoy talking with you on Facebook, because I always get these unbelievably nerdy references that I absolutely love. Because for those listening, we almost had, if it existed, we were going to watch Beyond the Gates 2, Gates Beyonder.
You make fun of me from my vernacular.
But that's not the best part of that. That's not the best part of that message. The best part of that message, he actually sends me a picture of the Beyonder with this and the stupid white jacket.
The best iteration. Yes. Yeah. The best, most Q-like that Beyonder ever was. Yeah. Like
he's about to go to a disco, rather than, help the universe at all.
All right.
But yeah, it's the moments like that, Les, where I'm just like, man, I want to make out with you over the internet. I love it so much. How's the things with the fiance working out? But anyway,
don't answer that.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm actually, it worked out great. I got married last November.
You got married last November? Oh,
yep.
Man, that sounds pretty serious. I'm going to have to work pretty hard to break you guys up to steal you away. Anyway, what are we talking about? A Dark Song. That's right. Spoilers. Spoilers. Nick's sexuality is more complex than you thought it was.
Nope.
So, Travis is not more complex than I thought.
Exactly as complex as I assumed.
But yeah, where should we start, guys? Should we start with the bathtub scene? That's where I kind of want to start.
That's actually a really great scene.
So I like this where, of course, our heroine has
Lying.
has lied and is like, no, I'm straight up here for vengeance.
I want to find the names of my son's killers so I can kill them myself.
Which I love that Joseph is like, well, why didn't you just say that?
Yeah.
I could totally do the vengeance ritual.
Yeah, didn't need you to be fucking virtuous. I needed you to be forthright and honest.
Which is weird because seeing they're calling an angel, but whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Well, but that's kind of the whole point of these rituals. Like if you were calling an angel through some virtuous way, you'd be like in a monastery somewhere praying or doing your nunly duties or whatever. Like this is the cheat method to talk to God.
Back alley way.
Yeah, this is definitely some sin eater shit of like, yeah, fuck your church. How about I just go to heaven anyway? Like
it's the dark internet of prayer. So he needs to reset the ritual, and he does so by Constantining her, by drowning her in the tub and then bringing her back, resuscitating her.
And she's a goddamn idiot for not seeing what he's about to do. And I don't just mean when another person puts their hand on your chest and holds you underwater. Like, I don't mean that part. I mean, how did she not understand what might reboot this ritual? Like, what might make her fresh again for this ritual? Because, like, to me, I don't know, the same thing that occurs to him occurred to me.
Mm-hmm.
I do like that he's an alcoholic and he keeps that bottle of liquor hid for most of it, but when he breaks it out, it makes a lot of sense to me. Of like, it's terrifying to have to do this. Like, this is beyond the pale even for him. I also at that point, because she still hadn't tried to test the line yet, I still didn't really understand how real the stakes were. That for him, that panic moment of trying to figure out how do we complete this ritual, like, it's real. Like, holy shit, did your lie
fuck us
me to fucking die here? Like, fuck your $80,000. Did you really just trap me in this house because you weren't comfortable admitting that you want to kill the people that hurt your... Go to fucking therapy, lady. Jesus.
Yeah. I do, yeah. And so even though his reactions are always extreme, you're never really super against Joseph with his reactions too, because it's like, man, you really fucked me here.
Yeah.
There's just no way around it. Like, we wasted how much time doing this ritual when we should have been doing something else, and now I gotta quick cheat my way into saving us some time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so you gotta die and come back. And I do love that he even knew, like, later when he gets stabbed in the knife, he's like, yep, this is my payment for killing you, because that's how this works.
Yeah. We had made it far enough that, like, I felt like they had done enough of the ritual to have started something, but it was never going to work, really.
Mm-hmm.
But that, like their guardian angel was standing nearby, but like, no, until you say all the words just right, I won't step out on stage. Like, I kind of, so that, like, then when he figures out and fixes the obstacle, then the guardian angel's like, oh, there you go, hey, and it stabs him for it.
Yeah, it's like on the with the ham radio metaphor, you're calling in to win a radio contest, but you're not getting the lyrics to AC/DC's Back in Black quite right.
Yeah.
So I really like that afterwards, where he's really fucked up with this knife wound. It gets, like, infected.
It's really bad.
They didn't know if it was dirty or not because she was washing dishes at the time.
Oh, yeah.
Was the knife clean? I don't know.
Well,
that's awesome.
It goes into him the handle goes into him. Like, there's a lot of knife. They don't directly show it, but just the angle they show it, man, there's a lot of knife coming out of him from the back, like, after going through him from the backside. There's, like, he just basically has to dump whiskey on it, and, like, if you're just sitting there going, hey, before you made the salt line, maybe somebody should have grabbed a bunch of penicillin.
Yeah, like, you'd think they'd have, like, plenty of, like, supplies, like first aid and all that sort of stuff, just in case, considering how long this fucking ritual is supposed to be. I mean, it also implies how dangerous it was to drown her, because he must know that, like, there's no getting out of this. This is either going to work or I just killed a person.
Yeah. But I mean, you're both going to die here if it doesn't work anyway. So
True.
yeah.
So and yeah, like after a while, I think he just resigned. It seems like he resigns his fate. If was less interpretations of it I wasn't super clear on what happened with the notebooks. I thought maybe the demons might be messing with them too, but actually I like Les's interpretation of he's just like, no, we're fucked. I might as well erase my history and like my legacy or whatever of these notebooks that has a bunch of crazy shit in it. And like
I also considered fuck you for getting me killed. But then it
also
worked.
could be that.
But then it worked.
It could have been that. But yeah, and then she of course makes the decision to try and leave, which at that point I'm like, oh man, she's fucked. Like there's no like, because that's the rules beforehand stated that of course they were the rules from Joseph to begin with, so I guess we don't only have his word to go on it, but he's like, no, you cross that line and we're done. Like we can't leave after that.
Yeah, but at that point it doesn't really matter. I mean,
maybe it's because the ritual has already been completed at that point. Like that it's cool.
So thinking about it more, I'm thinking crossing the line isn't just that you can't leave, like it redirecting her back to the house, like when she walks and finally comes upon a house and it's that same house again. I feel like maybe also her leaving broke whatever pact you were in of like whatever base level of protection that you had going until you completed this, because like the thing that was sounding like her kid still needed her to open a door at that point. And then she crosses the line and comes back in the house and the shit hits the fan. And so I'm wondering if like, oh, well, yeah, then you don't care. You're fucked. Whatever. Like she tries to abandon the ritual and then shit hits the fan. I wish they'd been more explicit about the causality there, or if it was causal at all, you know?
Well, at that point, Joseph is dead. He's died. So so anyone who could have explained what was happening is gone.
Well, and she comes back in the house and he's in the floor. She left him in bed.
Yeah.
And so like something's already happening because she left. Or happened while she left. For me, as much as I enjoyed the absolutely unexpected payoff of seeing the actual guardian angel, I really thought that this movie was going to end after she found the house again and goes back inside and is sitting there trying to figure out her next move and realize and like watch that it would have been in keeping with the other scenes in the movie to watch her realize that there is no next move.
That it's done.
Yep.
And
that she's
just going to die in this goddamn house, and her sitting there in the doorway with the door open, and that shot where you can still see the faded little bits of the line, and then see something walk past her in the back dragging his body.
Yep.
I would not have minded that ending.
That to me would have been the ending of like, oh yeah, no, there's a lot of reasons why people don't pull these levers. Here's one. Here's why people don't do these things.
Although if we do that, then we do miss the really good shot of the car later on.
Yeah, well, we do get the guardian angel sequence later after the spook host running away from the demon sort of thing.
Having her finger cut off for some reason.
She does lose that finger.
She has her finger cut off, and then I guess she suddenly realizes, like, oh yeah, I should probably fight back, and then run off.
I really do feel like there's enough weird detail, like the losing the finger is a weird enough detail to take it out of just being chased to you spooky, that I really wonder if there was a subplot cut. Like, is there a full 30 minutes missing here somewhere of subplot? Because it that truly happened. She is fingerless driving away. Like she is down one finger, 4-room style, like driving away. But yeah, they don't go into who those demons are exactly. They're just stuff that hurt you.
And I think at this point, I would have been okay with another half hour. Like, even though I complained how long this movie was at an hour and a half, I'd be like, no, if you would have given me the payoff, I would have been fine with it being longer.
Yeah, well, I think I like it. Well, and then we see the old woman, her prophecy has come true where she's dreamed that this old woman has brought her son or whatever. I'm like, oh shit, what does this mean? And then she gets knocked out right afterwards. And I'm like, oh, I thought this was going to kind of like be a bigger scene of like the old woman was going to be some sort of and maybe it is a bigger metaphor that I just didn't catch or whatever, but it was just kind of like, oh, this was the end of her dream, I guess. And then I don't know, I felt like that was one of those other things that I was like, I thought that was going to be a bigger deal. And yeah, she finally says, I'm sorry, and she manages to get out of the basement and leaves the other guy's body down there. But she goes and gets it later to throw it in the lake. So I guess she's not going to the cops with this one at all, I guess.
I figured it's safe to assume he's probably not got very much family or friends. But yeah, I was thinking that too of like, oh yeah, what'd you do last year? Well, I didn't have to pay that dude.
Yep. Hey, that's 80 grand saved. All right. But yeah, we see the Guardian Angel. The Guardian Angel has a great design of like this badass battle angel, basically.
And it's just freakishly huge.
Yep.
I also liked how the angel spoke, which would have been a wonderful template for like Black Bolt or something if the Inhumans hadn't sucked.
Where it's
because the lips move, but it's dead silent except that everything in the house shakes. And I kind of like that idea.
Very voice of God sort of thing. I like it.
We even had subtitles on that point because it was too quiet to actually hear the kid talk sometimes. So we're like, and it just literally says like inaudible speaking, I think.
I really enjoyed the Guardian Angel. I just really didn't expect it. I would despise an ending where she wanted vengeance and asks to be able to forgive. But weirdly, with the tone they had set up with this movie and how many times she fucked things up by holding on to this like a dark little secret, and like that she wanted, like it worked for, like, I felt like she had lost everything in the stairs. Like it worked for me for her to step through that door and be like, it's all over. I've already assumed I'm going to die here. I just want to be able to let this go and not care about this like this anymore. And I thought that was like, I thought it was cool, and then went, wow, I normally would mock this. Like it surprised me that it worked for me in this particular instance.
Yeah, I like that the Guardian Angel gives her a final smile too. Like, good for you.
Yeah,
good for you.
Like, I probably
would have smite you otherwise.
Yeah, probably would have smoked them and you. But
burn the whole house down.
I mean, a lot of people ask me to be invisible, if you can believe it or not, dumbasses.
It's not
We take things very literally.
But for forgiveness, I could totally do that. I really like the final shot of this movie where she's driving away, and we do see the her with her finger missing and her just ravaged from this, awful experience. And I love the fact that we see on her face this utter sense of relief and like she's about to break down. And I was confused at first because I was like, whoa, what? All of a sudden she gets this look on her face like she feels safe. But then
she knows the loop is broken.
It's when she knows the loop is broken, and then that's when the car passes, and I realized that she's seen the car.
Yeah.
And she just saw it before us, so that's what led it to it. And then it fades to black, and I'm like, that was a great spot to end it.
Yes,
that was a good spot.
Yeah, I like that scene a lot.
It took me a second same deal. Like, it took me a second both to realize, like, oh, it's because she saw the car, but then like the implication of that of like, oh yeah, because you'd still be, some piece of you would still be wondering like, yeah, the car started this time, but am I really driving away, or am I going to drive back up to the fucking house? Yeah.
And yeah, that's all we really need as an audience is just like, nope, she broke the loop. She's good. We're good.
Great visual storytelling.
Yes. There's little things peppered throughout the movie. When they first start the ritual, the first night she sleeps there, I think she puts a chair under her doorknob.
Yeah.
And it's they haven't had a whole lot of conversations. He's a brusque kind of guy. She's closed off. But that tells you a lot about her state of mind and where they are in their relationship together. And like there's little tells like later in one of the gaps in between, she shares a cigarette with him. And then like, oh, y'all are in a whole other spot having done this now a couple times together.
Right. Having done this ritual multiple days or months.
Months probably at this point. Yeah.
Does she also pee in his soup once?
Yes,
yeah, that was after
that's
the jerk-off sequence.
Yeah.
The next day and these are other, I mean, like, I'm on the one hand, I'm glad that they just kind of picked a thing and went for it, but these were little things where I wanted to be like, so what god fucking awful thing happens to him because he's now drank some fluid from your body and you're so deep into this ritual, like, what curse got what
He's supposed to be clean.
Well, and all I could think was like, now he's cursed by something, or the ritual's fucked up because you've added some other component into it by doing that to him.
Well, he does die, so.
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, and then he does still die, but yeah, there's it. I wish there were more movies that dealt this directly in this stuff, like the show The Magicians that's on now. One of the things I like about it is that it's Harry Potter with really crazy stakes. Like, if there was a magic college, a good portion of you won't survive. Like, don't open doors you're not supposed to open as a first year. You will get fucking killed. You probably had to sign a crazy waiver. Like, that's how the Magicians
because Harry
works.
Potter didn't have a giant-ass three-headed dog behind a door, no.
Yeah. I mean, like, you know, what if, like...
Well, maybe don't teach your first years the lock-picking spell. Yeah. What the fuck, Potter? Damn it.
But, like, you know, what if they're just, like, the third-year class is just missing and nobody talks about what happened to them? Like, that kind of stuff. Like, I like magic with stakes and some kind of half-assed physics behind it. And this movie got that tone for me down of, like, yeah, there's real fucking stakes to this. And it, like, okay, let's say magic's real, but it takes for goddamn ever. And if it doesn't work, it will destroy you. And if it does work, it might. might destroy you.
Right.
But either way, it's going to take for friggin' ever, and it's incredibly difficult. Like, I liked the absurd amount of difficulty in doing this. That, like, yeah, magic's a cheat or whatever, but, like, it's not... You don't use magic to do common things. You could walk across a room and pick up a pin. You don't use magic to move it over here. Like, that's not what magic's for. Magic is for, like, cheating and doing angelic thing, like
straight up miracles.
Yeah, like you want to pull off a miracle. Like, I want to talk to my dead son. Like, I want to smite someone. Like you don't put this code in unless you need something from the god list of shit.
Yeah.
Like, what's the guy say? Like, go on a fucking dating website if you need somebody to love you. Like, no. No. Like, do you need a body resurrected? Okay.
Do you need the person you love back?
Like, yeah, there you go. Like, that's more our speed. You don't need to seal back up a Necronomicon or anything like that. Like, that's more what this is for. So yeah, that was Dark Song, guys. Or I'm sorry, a Dark Song. Yeah.
Could be a sequel. It could be Dark Song 2 or a Dark Song or Dark Songs. Ooh.
A darker song.
The darkest song.
Dark Song.
The
2,
dark playlist. Dark Songer. Well, this is the B side, a Dark Song. But yeah, it was absolutely fun. Thanks again for recording with us, Les. Always a pleasure to have you.
Always a pleasure to be here.
And yeah, until next week, I think we can get out of here. Hopefully, we won't bring about any demons to our house. Although I have been fasting for a couple months, so maybe we're on someone's radar.
You couldn't fast if someone
all I get is that neighbor with the ham radio still that utters weird sexual things to me. So I think we're all right. But yeah, until next time, we're on a pause to kick out, and we're out.